Thank you for joining me. I'm William Earnhardt. I proudly pastor the Bushnell, Homosassa, and Inverness, Florida Seventh-day Adventist churches. And I want to thank you for meeting with me again today at the cross. In Matthew chapter 26, verse 50, when Judas goes to betray Jesus, Jesus asks Judas, "Friend, what have you come here for?" And many people find it interesting that Jesus called Judas a friend. He didn't call him a backstabber. He didn't call him a traitor. He called him a friend. And that intrigues a lot of people, and it shows us that Jesus was able to look beyond Satan using a human being, and that we're wrestling not with flesh and blood, as it talks about in Ephesians 6:12, but against principalities, against wicked spirits in high places. Jesus knew Satan was using Judas, and he was able to look past Judas and see who the real enemy was. And many times, Satan will use people that are very close to us to hurt us, and many times they don't even know they're hurting us. Many times they'll say something that we'll take offense at, and they never meant it to be offensive. Or they'll do something that we misinterpret, and they didn't mean us to take it that way and to be hurt by it. Satan is always hurting us with loved ones by having us misconstrue what was said, misconstrue what was done. And the real battle isn't with our loved ones. It's with Satan. And so Jesus realized that. And Jesus was able to look past the flesh and blood, look past Judas, and saw the real enemy was Satan. And Jesus was still able to call Judas friend. And Jesus always called it the way he saw it. And so I'm sure if Jesus was calling Judas friend, as far as Jesus was concerned, Judas was his friend. Now, I've had people tell me, well, that word friend in the original manuscripts, that just means acquaintance. It doesn't really mean a close friend. Well, in Psalm 41, verse 9, we have a prophecy of Jesus being betrayed by Judas. And in Psalm 41, verse 9, it says, "My familiar friend," not just an acquaintance, familiar friend, who I shared bread with, meaning I ate with him. And in Bible times, you ate with somebody, that was a declaration of your friendship. That's why the Pharisees were so upset when Jesus was eating with sinners. He was declaring his friendship with them. As a matter of fact, that word companion is a Latin word, two Latin words, com, with, pan, bread. A companion is someone you eat bread with. And so when Jesus was eating with sinners, he was declaring, these are my friends. And so when it tells us in Psalm 41:9, my own familiar friend, who I shared bread with, has turned against me, that means more than an acquaintance. That means a friend. And so Jesus was able to look past the flesh and blood and see that the real enemy was Satan. And at the cross, we're encouraged to do the same. At the cross, it tells us in 2 Corinthians 5:19-21, in verse 21, it says, Jesus became sin for us who knew no sin, so that we may become the righteousness of God in him. And then in verse 19, it says, this ministry of reconciliation has been given to us. Jesus died on the cross to reconcile us to him. He was treated the way we deserve, so we can be treated the way he deserves. Jesus was also treated the way my enemy deserves to be treated, so that by God's grace, I can now treat my enemy the way Jesus deserves to be treated. Jesus gave us the ministry of reconciliation. Jesus gave us an example of looking past the flesh and blood and seeing that the real enemy is Satan. And so seeing that the real enemy is Satan, we can still love our brother and sister. And we can bring about reconciliation, the reconciliation that Jesus died for on the cross. That's what Jesus was thinking when he called Judas his friend. Instead of a traitor, instead of a backstabber, he realized the real enemy is Satan. And he gave to us the ministry of reconciliation. God bless you.